Raubex was founded by Koos Raubenheimer in Bloemfontein in 1974 and focuses specifically on roads and related infrastructure development. The company has a market cap of 2.5 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 7.7 and a dividend yield of 4.4%. I remember a number of market commentators getting incredibly excited about the Raubex story some time back. Has that picture changed?
Well, it was brought to the market by Investec, in that 2007 period. At some point, it traded at a pretty sky-high valuation. And I guess the idea was that, road spending in the central region was a dire, public policy priority in the Free State in particular. I don't know what happened. Maybe like 30 years ago, the Nationalists built a whole lot of roads and then nobody did anything. So there was a lot of work to be done, and they had a nice partnership with an empowerment, bunch of shareholders. In fact, Cosatu's investment company, Kopano Kamatla, Colin Machila was the guy who was the non-executive chair of the board. But certainly they initially did well. Francois Dudrichsen, the CEO or COO or
CFO,
finance guy,
yes. The CFO,
did a good job of marketing up the company and getting lots of investor relations attention. But I'm afraid, like all the others, that they've battled a little bit in terms of the downturn in earnings.
Well, there we go. And Janine, look at the graph. We can see the share price reflecting that battling with the downturn, and it doesn't look as though it's recovering. Here we've got a flatline situation.
I think the problem with Raubex is that it is a two-line business operation. It's got roadworks and then it's got contract mining. And none of the roadworks type of business is not doing quite well. We've had the issues with Sunroll going on and not real spending coming through, and then we've had the provinces that couldn't actually pay for the roads that have been built. And where the other construction companies are a bit more diversified, so they're not that exposed to roads per se. What's holding them up is the acquisition of B&E, the largest contract miner in South Africa, which is the main contributor to the profits at the moment.
Let's just have a look at current levels. We're tracking around 12 rand.
Well, they're slightly higher. I think they're about 14. The scale is a little bit rough there. But to put that in perspective, the all-time high was 48 rand. So, that gives you a sense. Although that was all in November 07, when everybody was still
anticipating. But this
anticipating.
business model isn't in smithereens. This business model has some potential going forward. And I'd be interested to see those value managers that are calling a buy on the big construction stocks, whether they are going further afield and going into a stock like Raubex in anticipation of better times.
Look, construction companies we know have got cyclical earnings, so they'll have good years and bad years. And unfortunately, the average duration of an investment manager at a large institutional firm is about 5 years before they find something better to do, or their wife tells them they've got to leave, or they decide to retire because they've made so much money. So unfortunately, people forget during the high years and the bad years what exactly these guys are capable of. So we're in that sort of dark period now before the storm.
Yes,
but I agree with
deep value territory. Deep value territory, Janine.
But unfortunately, it's a question of the market as well. Road building, is it going to pick up? Is government going to spend? Because it's a main government driven industry. So it's not like they can go out and build roads for private companies, and that's the only problem. The exposure to government is quite significant.
But government is ultimately going to spend, or
it's just a question of when.
Exactly.
That is the thing. It's a question of when, is how long you're going to be able to hold out.
Do you think it's going to go lower than current levels? Are we going to go lower than 14 rand?
I think a lot of the issues that we have been discussing is already in the share price. The problem is just in terms of, like I said, duration. How long are we willing to wait? Is there something else that you'd rather invest in at the moment that's actually growing?
Hot or not on Raubex, Paul Turan?
Look, the other thing they've got going for them is a core anchor shareholder, because Koos Raubenheimer, his son Louis, works in the business. I saw recently that one of the empowerment directors was selling his shares, Fred Kenny, and it was inter alia Mr. Raubenheimer who was buying them back. So I think there is probably a flaw there. Unfortunately, much as I'm sure our viewers in Bloemfontein will be heartbroken to hear me say this, I'm not sure that the Free State is the cornerstone of our economy and where you want to be specifically exposed. They are going elsewhere.
You've just alienated an entire province. What can I say?
Yeah, sorry guys. So I'm afraid not hot.
Janine, hot or not on Raubex?
Not hot.